What's up, guys? Daemonxel back again with another Eve Frontier video. The ship progression series. We are continuing on now with a bigger ship, a better ship, a more deadly ship. That's right, none other than the Tades. Let's talk about it. All right, so we are now jumping from frigates into destroyers. Now, of course, currently right now, there's only one destroyer in the game, and that is the Tades. Now, for me, it is a very versatile ship. It can do just about anything, and it is one hell of a puncher if you're going into doing PvP or PvE, but you can also do this as a miner, and I'm going to tell you how. Let's jump right into it. All right, so the Tades boast a few different things. One, we are talking 3 high slots now. We're talking about 4 mids and 3 lows. Now, you can set up your ship basically just about any way you want to and be successful in doing this. Now, the one thing I am going to say, now, before they drop the patch with the Maul, right? We were basically using the same engine. We were using the frigate engine with this. We were using a bunch of other things. Now we are using the cruiser engine for this, which gives it a hell of a lot more power, so you can do a lot more. And by doing that, it's going to free up a lot, a more better recharge rate and everything else for your ship. So let's look at this at a PvE point, right? PvE, PvP. We're talking about ratting. We're talking about player hunting. So you can go with whichever highs you like. Of course, you guys know by now I am loving the coil guns. It goes back to my old Galante days and Eve Echoes and Eve Online. It just I like coils. So I have 3 tier 3 coils on this, which gives me the range to snipe if I want to at 100 km. Again, there are no ship roll bonuses right now. This is still a alpha test currently, and I think we only have about another 2 to 3 weeks left in this alpha test before we move on to the next cycle. And being as an alpha, it's time for the shameless plug. That's right. If you guys want to continue playing through all the different cycles and you want to buy that Founders Access Pack, go ahead and use my code below in the description below. It's going to help you get grace. It's going to help me get grace. And that's the shameless plug. Okay. Coils. Actually, no, we were talking about alpha and this no being ship bonuses, ship rolls. So we can do whatever we want in the ship because we can still target out to 100 km, right? We are still going to be able to have up to 5 targets. So if you want to drop in at 100 and snipe things off, well, now we have 3 coils, which hit a hell of a lot harder than just your 2. So basically, you're killing a lot of these ships, especially frigates, not so much cruisers, but the frigates you can pop before they even get close to you. Cruisers are going to take a little bit more. I have not taken this thing against a battleship. The battleship will wreck us. But defensive-wise, we're doing really good. Okay, what we have on here is we put on 2 coated armor plates. And the reason we're doing coated armor plates is because specifically in the area that I'm at, the rats deal EM damage. So I can pop both of these on. And now I'm at 75% resistance and 18 across everything else. That's kinetic, that is thermal, that is explosive. Inherently, remember, without any modules, you do not have resistance. You do not have armor. You will not have shields. You only have the structure HP. And out of the box, the Tades has 2,600 HP. So it is a beefy boy. Now, also to go in line with our defensive capabilities, we have 2 systematic armor restorer 2s on here. So this way we can keep on repping no matter the damage. So I can tank basically a lot before having to really jet out of there. And because we're using this engine, our recharge rate is fantastic. And in fact, we can just take off. We have the Afterburner 2 on here to give us a little bit of boost, right? With the Afterburner 2, it brings us up to... Oh, wrong button. With the Afterburner 2, it's going to give us a max speed of 611. It's not much, right? It's about 150 less than the MCF using the same Afterburner. But it still gets us to point A to point B. Not as fast, but it gets us there. But we can take this off, and we can run both these and not cap out. And that's the beauty of it right there. So we can have all our defensive modules going and not run out of cap, even though we are shooting. So what else do I have on here? Well, in case I get into a PvP standpoint, I have my Warp Entangler 6 on here, which allows me to stop anyone warping away within 54 km. So since we are set up as a sniper, I can still hit them from that 54 km range. Obviously, if they get out of that 54 km range, they're going to warp away. And also, it's only going to give us about 12 seconds delay, keeping them stationary, right? And you're not going to be able to reapply this again for 45 seconds. Now, again, I said this is a very versatile ship. So you can set this up how you want. If you like shields, go with shields, right? Do the same setup for shields. If you like armor, like I'm doing, you could do armor. In fact, you don't even have to run coated. You can run bulky if you want. You can run nimble if you want. If you just want that base HP there and not the resistances. Now, also, I'd be amiss if I did not give a shout out to my brother in Reap, No Moa TV. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to his channel or going to visit his channel, he's got some great stuff on there. He's doing a series currently right now on inoculator sites, specifically the Foundation sites. Some good stuff. If you have never run across this or you're thinking about doing these sites, check him out. You can pick up some tips there. But I did borrow his titties from him because I was donating a bunch of my materials to another project. But as I was saying, there is one other thing we have on this ship, which you may be wondering why. Well, we have a heat exchanger. And the reason we do this is because this ship does take a little while to come down off of heat, especially if you're jumping around hunting. And if you jump into maybe a hot planet or a hot system by accident, you may not be able to get away because this thing does not warp on a dime. This is not a very fast ship warp-wise. It takes a little while. A little trick to that, though, is I noticed that once you're angled, you hit warp, I think it's around 300, 308 ms. So if you hit your afterburner 2 and just bring you up to 290, it'll shorten that distance of your warp. But don't do it as you're turning because it's going to add time on. Anyway, that's just a little tip right there. So we were speaking of versatility. Now, the other thing you could do in the ship, I know we talked about you and the USV as our resource frigate, right? Well, we are in a destroyer now. Yes, it does not have the same amount of cargo space. In fact, this cargo space in this ship right here has a total of 3,120 M3. Now, yes, I could take this out and put a cargo center too. It's still not going to give us the same amount as that frigate. But with this engine, what we can do, and this is why I always travel with 50 metal-rich ore, is because I can drop that portable refuge and swap out my highs and put in, that's right, medium cutting lasers. So with medium cutting lasers on here, we can actually mine a lot more very quickly. So if we are trying to build up enough stuff to build either a MOA, the cruiser, or if we need to, get building foam, get our resources, this ship is going to do it faster for you. Now, yes, running all three at the same time will cap starve you just a little bit, but as soon as you're running low, what you can do is you can just shut off one cutter, and by, I think, within 10 seconds, you're going to be up just about up to full cap again. And you get to pop it right back on. But it's going to take a little while for you to run out of cap. Now, this is only doing if you are running directly from your cargo into a refinery, which a lot of miners are doing. So basically, you have your refinery window open, you have your inventory window open, and as soon as you get to, say, maybe like 2,000 M3 of ore, just pop it right into the refinery and hit go, right? And you're not breaking the cycle. You're not turning off your lasers and turning back on. It's just going to continuously mine until either A, you run out of cap for the one cutter, or B, the asteroid disappears. So you will find that your mining progress or your resource gathering process goes a lot quicker with this ship. And then you can just come out with your Lorna, pick everything up, bring it back to your base, easy peasy. One thing that you do have to remember, though, when using the medium cutting lasers, right, you cannot use these right here. These are the synthetic mining lenses. Those only work in these small cutting lasers. You're going to need either this right here, which is a radiatum. You guys know me pronunciation. I'm horrible with it, but it's basically the red one, right? Mining lens, or the luminous ones, which I do not. Yeah, here we go. I do have some left. These right here, these mining lenses. Now, these do burn out quicker than these small ones, these synthetic ones. So you will go through these a lot quicker. And the only way to get them is you have to do PVE sites, and most of the time I believe it is different inoculator sites, the ones that have a cache in them, and you can get those not the lenses, you're going to get the raw material, which is the radium or the luminous or luminalis, and you'll be able to process that into these lenses to use with the medium cutters. So keep that in mind. You can't just slap a medium cutter on there and expect you're going to do anything. You do need these lenses to make it work. So we talked about having the heat exchanger on there, right? In case we get to a hot system, so we can just, purge a lot of that heat very quickly. One thing you are going to have to realize, though, if you are going hunting with this, take spare fuel with you. Unfortunately, yes, it is a bigger ship, which means it's more mass than we're used to with our frigates. Yes, we're going to get the same jump range or jump heat as the MCF, heat-wise, but your distance is going to be limited, and this thing is a hog for fuel when you are jumping. So let's go into the individual stats of the ship so we can see how big of a tank it is, how much we have on everything else. All right, so we got the stat window open. As you can see, as I said before, we have a base of 2,600 HP. That is our structure HP. Our fuel capacity, our tank will hold 5,972. So, again, I don't know why they couldn't just give us the additional 28 to make it a nice, even 6,000 units. I don't know. I don't know why they like going odd numbers in this game for fuel-wise and everything else. But it is what it is. Now, the mass on our ship, base with nothing on it, right, is 74.6 million kg. So that, as you can see, that is a lot more than our frigates. So even a full Lorna, right, the Lorha that had I think it was like 8,200, or it was either 8,200 or 9,000 M3 cargo space with all those cargo arrays on and fully stocked, right? We put the heaviest thing in there. We had the batched carbon weave, that is the black blocks. That was only at 49 million. We're here at, currently with everything equipped, 82.1, but even the base is 74. So you're talking a lot more mass. So yes, shorter jump range. Well, jump range is now based on heat, not so mass, but mass does play into it. But you got to take that into consideration with fuel consumption and everything else. So it is, again, a little bit of a fuel hog when it comes to that. Now, because we have the two coated plates on there, we have the higher resists going on here, but it also gives us additional 1,350 HP for our armor. So yes, we are tanky when we go into these sites. We don't have to worry about the shield recharge rate. Well, that if we put a shield on here, the natural is going to be 240. That's fine. So our cap recharge rate is 7.1999999. Yes, that's due to the engine we have on there. And if you guys are wondering which cruiser engine we have on here, it is this right here. Let me just bring up the info screen, and that is the Velocity CD82, or basically the Velocity 2, right? All right, so let's go back to here. Here we go. Okay. We talked about mass. We talked about resistances. We talked about the capacitor. Again, there's that same heat spec as the MCF, that 2.5 Kelvin or C. I think that's Kelvin. I'm probably off on that, but it's 2.5 C. So we have the same heat range as the frigate. Again, all of this is going to be the same right here, right? We're talking about 100 km out, 5 targets. That's going to be the same on every ship because, again, this is an alpha cycle. We don't have ship rolls or bonuses. But one thing you do want to take into consideration is you're used to that lower signature radius, right? On the MCF, it was 70. On the half, it's 65, right? So as you're, flitting around on these ratting sites, you're going to be getting a lot of misses, right? Because you have a smaller signature. This one scores a 130 on the signature. So you're going to be getting hit. So especially if you're just going to a PvE site and just sitting there, you're a stationary target. You're going to be hit just about every time they fire on you. So always, when you are ratting, make sure that you're always moving in somewhat of a direction, right? You're gonna get grazing hits. You're gonna get dodges. It just works out better for you when you are doing that. Again, base max velocity, we're looking at 308. Again, with the Afterburner 2, what was it? 6? We did 611, right? Ship warp speed is 3.24K, but again, once you hit warp, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're with your fleet, you're going to be traveling about the same depending on the size. Mostly, if everyone's going hunting, you're basically going to be going in a group of Tades or MCFs anyway. And again, for the fitting purposes, we have a total of 125 for the CPU and a whopping, was that 280? Yeah, 280 for the power grid. So again, we are using tier 3 coils on this, but you can put on whatever you want. Just remember, range is different. So if you want up close and personal bashing, you're probably going to want disintegrators. If you want mid range, you want to use auto cannons. Pick your poison for what you want to do with it. Again, I do not make specific fitting videos. I leave that to the geniuses of the community of ships. I fly with what I feel comfortable with. Sometimes that is usually a mistake, but it's what I do. So don't. Maybe in the future I might put out a fitting guide, but I highly doubt it. I'm not a brainiac or a brain trust in the community. Look to the smarter people from the official Discord or within your own tribes to come up with a good fit for you. So, and the way we have this set up right now, with everything on right now, we have a defensive of a 4,582 EHP with about 180 DPS. So I hope this video helps you guys and get you excited for flying into Hades. To me, it's one of the most versatile ships. It's one of the most fun ship. I like how this ship looks and flies. My only thing, again, this thing does fly like a little bit of a brick, so you are not making sharp turns very fast. You know what I mean? So don't look for that, really quick responsive turns. It is a bigger ship, so it's going to take a little bit more to align and everything else. But especially with a group of friends, you're going to have a blast flying the ship, going roaming or doing PvE sites and everything like that. So again, I hope this helps you guys plan to get one of these or to fly one of these, or show you basically the versatility of this ship itself. And until I talk to you guys again, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Fly safe. And remember, here on this channel, we are always one vision, one purpose, one front. I'll see you guys in the next video.